welcome to another video. Today we're going to go ahead and review a fragrance from the house of Thierry Mugler. The fragrance is called Mugler Cologne. Now, this is what the bottle looks like. So as you can see, the bottle is very simple, the presentation is very simple. The fragrance was released in the year 2001. I'm really disappointed that I haven't actually gotten to review this fragrance. And the reason being is because it's been constantly mentioned to me from various subscribers. They've all kind of come up to me and said, hey Cody, why haven't you reviewed this fragrance yet? Or why haven't you tried this fragrance yet? I've noticed that you haven't, really mentioned this on any of your top 10s, anything like that, and I think this is a fragrance that you would like. And I kind of just brushed it off, but I eventually got around to it just recently, and I have to say I'm really shocked that I haven't actually come across this fragrance until now. This is a fragrance that is right up my alley and something I guess you could say that I liked immediately upon spraying. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the review. The notes of this fragrance consist of, at our top, we have neroli, bergamot, petitgrain. For our mid, we have African orange flower, and for our base, we have musk. So very, very, very simple ingredients that we have on this particular fragrance. And right away when you spray it, I'm reminded of something immediately fresh and clean. Really just clean is the first thing that comes to mind. Now, what is often described for this fragrance is soapy, and that couldn't be further from the truth. It is a very soapy fragrance, but I think there's another, quality that really overwhelms it for me. And it's rather than soapiness, it's really a quality of being, you could say watery. A watery, neroli type of a fragrance. Neroli by itself comes across as a weird cross between a citrus and has a little bit of soapy notes, and that really is what Mugler Cologne is really coming across as this neroli type of base fragrance. But the soapiness doesn't really come out in this fragrance until it's been on your skin for at least like half an hour, and that's where it really becomes like a nice soapy clean scent. Originally when you first spray it, you're really going to get more of that watery type of a vibe from it. So watery citrus type vibe really dominates the fragrance's opening and the first hour of the fragrance. Now, the one downside of the fragrance is that it doesn't really last that long. On my skin, it lasted about 6 hours. On the best wearing, it was about 6 hours. For me, it was anywhere between 4 and 6 hours. So it's something that you immediately have to kind of reapply and keep respraying. But I will say on this, on the other hand, even though it only lasts like 6 hours, it becomes a skin scent, I guess you could say, after the about 4-hour mark. And it still kind of remains on your skin, but it turns into this like powdery, soapy type of a vibe to it. It's not really the same as when you first sprayed it on, and I would say it's kind of lost its luster by then. But either way, it's pretty affordable. You can purchase it for roughly around $50. It comes in, I think it was 2 main sizes basically for it, but overall it's just, I guess you could say, the typical soapy fragrance. Now, also, when I sprayed this fragrance on, it also reminded me of another fragrance that I had smelled, and that is Creed's Original Vetiver. Now, Original Vetiver has a little bit more depth to it, but they're both very comparable, to the point where I would say, I would actually recommend to someone, if you're strapped for cash, you might be better off going for Mugler Cologne, because they're both very similar in terms of the actual scent to it. So Mugler Cologne and Creed's Original Vetiver have a really close resemblance in terms of actual smell to it. Now, I do detect a little bit of more nuances with Creed's Original Vetiver, but I don't want to comment too heavily just because I haven't really fully tested out Creed's Original Vetiver to my liking to be able to make that full-on call. But I will say right off the bat, it does remind me of that. It also reminds me of another fragrance. This a little bit less so just because I've spent less time with it, and that's Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino. I've seen it mentioned a couple times, but I haven't spent that much time with it. I've smelled Neroli Portofino like twice, and I could say off the bat, yeah, it sort of does remind me, but it reminds me a little bit more of Original Vetiver than Neroli Portofino. Alright, now as far as occasion goes, you can wear this pretty much for any occasion. It's a very versatile fragrance, so any occasion that you can kind of think of, you can kind of pull it off. As long as you want to smell clean and soapy, that's where you can pretty much wear Mugler Cologne. Got Original Vetiver on the brains. Season-wise, any season you can really pull this one off, but I think it really shines a little bit more in some warm weather situations just because it's a little bit easier to smell in those situations. Now, age group wise, any age group can wear this one, pull this one off, and this might be a great fragrance for younger kids who are looking for a fragrance that is fresh, clean, and soapy. Performance wise, I already touched on this one. Performance, you're going to get a little bit below average projection and sillage, but and as well as the, I guess you can say, the longevity, you're going to get about 4 to 6 hours is what I got for my skin. Compliments wise, I didn't get any compliments with this one. No unsolicited compliments. However, I did ask some people, how they thought it smelled on my skin. Asked some ladies, asked some guys how they thought it smelled on my skin, and they were all in the positives. They all said that it smelled good, and their main comment was soapy. I didn't do the full-on 100 people test. I still haven't gotten back to that. I apologize, but I'll get to it eventually. Now, as far as a rating goes, I'm going to go ahead and give this fragrance a rating of an 8 out of 10. I give it an 8 out of 10. It's a very solid fragrance, and it's one that's flying under the radar from the Mugler house. At least it was flying under the radar to me. A lot of people are going to come up to me and basically say, yo, it was flying under the radar for you, not for us. And I completely take blame for that. To me, it's definitely a different fragrance from the house of the original Mugler line, and it's a different type of vein to it. Definitely fresh, clean. If you're looking for fragrances that have that fresh, clean type of a smell, fragrances that you can pretty much wear on any occasion, you're definitely going to want to look at Mugler Cologne, because it really does have this cologne-ish vibe to it. However, if you are definitely looking for a fragrance that is a little bit more pronounced, that'll have a little bit more oomph, more projection, people are going to smell you as you come across. If you're not going to smell, I guess you could say, average. And I only say average because soapy seems to be like the average barometer. So if you're not going to smell average, if you don't want to smell average, this fragrance might not be the fragrance for you. And obviously, if you're not a fan of Original Vetiver or Neroli Portofino, this might not be the fragrance for you as well. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you. Take care of yourselves and have a great day.